is strong, and then they get to the product part, and they're like, yeah, and then we're going to go to the delivery product. And you're like, oh my God. They haven't thought through the operations side of being a product-driven business at all. Product involves design, development. It has to be made. There's prototyping. If you're a product-driven business, you're going to have gross margin. If you don't have gross margin, you don't have a business. Gross margin is going to be based on two things. What does it cost to produce, and what is my price point? Right? If you don't know the cost side, you don't know your gross margin. You've got distribution issues. You have customer service issues. So these are all operational drivers. You know, the product cycle. This is probably the most challenged, for those going into a product-driven business, this one's probably the most challenging. We were trained on McDonald's. McDonald's teaches us that you walk into a store and you look up at the menu, I'll get one of those, two of those, three of those, and six of those. Actually, it's even easier than that. Give me a number 3. And so the idea of sourcing is just ordering and pressing a button. Products are not made that way. Products require that there is a process to follow. There are manufacturing steps that are sequential. And when you violate and you go outside of a strict process for producing, you have train wrecks, like unbelievable train wrecks. And so not understanding the cycle, the manufacturing cycle for your product is equivalent to a business plan that's broken. It will not work. So the kernels that we get from a product-driven business, you know, you want to know what design costs. You want to make sure that your IP protection is there. You definitely want to speak a lot about margin. You need to know your costs. And you want to be very specific about your channels, your distribution, and the support needed in order to cycle product on a consistent basis. And again, we get down to data. Fact-based information that you're going to use for your business plan. All right. So what do I do with these kernels, these data points? I'm one of 3 businesses. I'm generating this live. I know what is important to run my business, whether it's service-driven, content-driven, or product-driven. And then I'm going to gather these very specific field data points, right? A bunch of kernels from competition, from the field. And I get these fact-based data points. Now what do I do? Well, you now need to roll them up into a plan of attack. And you know, war analogies are really good. All right, you are in battle. You are in battle. You're given limited resources, and you have to take the hill, right? So really think about it as an attack to build your business. You know, what are the quality of resources that I need? Because, you know, you get a check for $1 million. You're like, great, now I can buy things. What are you going to buy, right? And at what quality level? Are you going to buy quality or quantity? Because you can't buy everything. You have to choose. $1 million gets burnt in 3 months, 6 months. It's really fast. It's easy to spend money. It goes quickly. So what must we acquire? By quality, quantity, what is the cost of those resources? You know, again, that timing that we talked about. What am I doing in 6 months? I've got to have a very clear answer about 6 months. And what am I going to spend during those 6 months? And what am I going to achieve? And so your plan of attack is you use all those data points to build your plan of attack, right? And that should be articulated in the plan. All right. What the hell is this guy talking about? I have no idea. I am lost. I am not connecting this to my business plan at all. I have a wonderful idea, and what Joe is throwing up there has completely confused me. I hope you don't feel that way, by the way. But let's do it. Let's build an operations plan. So I'm picking underwear. I'm picking underwear because it's real. We all, I hope, wear underwear, so we can relate to this concept. And I'm drawing on the real world. There actually is a company that I invested in that's doing kind of this. So I love doing that. That's so cool. Oh, you can't go back. All right. What is that? All right. So we're going to do an underwear company. And for those who are product driven, the principles still apply. The principles of data driven from the field, everything that we talked about still apply. So as we talk about, if you've got your market plan nailed down, your marketing plan nailed down, you're saying I've identified a real problem, right? And so we've done that. Underwear, they don't fit well. It's an old, dusty category. It had no real innovation in many, many years. So your concept, brilliant underwear. By the way, I'm not smart enough to make this stuff up. There is a company, and they came up with quick draw technology. You figure out what that is. I also don't really understand how they're going to apply quick draw technology to the women's underwear market. I'm not really getting that, but whatever. But this is your business, and you've identified a problem, a product. It has unique characteristics. We're going to build an underwear company, right? Now, this is a product-driven company, right? And for product, it's all about what? What? Design. Right? Yes. Product cycle sourcing. Remember, we've got to be able to get that, make the product, and it needs to, on a consistent basis, be delivered to market. Right? So yes, it's about design. It's about the unique characteristics. You're satisfying demand, and all the business plans that we see are pretty good about articulating that. And then when they get to the operations side, about how are you going to have enough underwear to market where you're delivering gross margin on a consistent basis over time, and that's where the plans fall apart. That's where the operations plan falls apart. Right? They get the demand state really well, and the money-making machinery never materializes because they didn't get the operations part well. So we need those kernels, those data points that we talked about. Right? And it's going to be manufacturing kernels. So manufacturing kernels are going to be basic. What's my material cost? Underwear is made out of fabric, or they could be full-fashion knit product. But anyway, there's material, there's stuff, there's yarn, there's thread, there's fabric. What does that cost? Where are we going to make it? You should be able to very clearly say we're going to make it in the United States, we're going to make it in Southeast Asia, we're going to make it in the Middle East. What is the lead time? How long does it take to get fabric to market? How long does it take to produce finished product? What is the actual cost of that product? So if you can't give this level of specificity, this level of detail in your business plan, it's not believable. You need the fact-based information about your business, and you need to live and breathe it. You have to be able to speak fluidly about these kind of data points. Because when you're asked a question from an investor and you don't have the answer, like, I'm not sure what it costs to make. I don't really know where the fabric comes from. I don't really know what if we have minimums that we have to meet. I'm not really sure. I don't know. Well, then pass. You don't know anything about what it takes to build an underwear company if that's what you're going to be doing. So in this example, you need to know fact-based information. What do designers cost? How much sample fabric do I need? I'm making prototypes. What does it cost to fit test to get that product just right? What's the development cycle? How many times a year do I need to develop new product to keep the line fresh? Fact-based information, super important. It makes you credible, it makes you believable. More than that, forget about the presentation side. You know your stuff. You know what you're doing. You know your business. So the idea is gather these kernels and roll them up. Gather them, know them really well, and put them into very specific information. You know, this strategy, and this is not the strategy, by the way, pursued by any particular company. This is just generic. You may come up with this. They may produce domestically some product, and they may produce overseas other product where their margin initially is not strong, but they're able to have speed to market. So they're going to give up margin, but in exchange for that, they're able to get product out there on a rapid cycle. And then they're going to go long and take longer to go to market and take more of an inventory risk on what's basic, and they'll have a stronger margin. So you may come up with a blended margin that is rational, but for reasons for sound business reasons, you're going to have different manufacturing centers and approach the market differently with different margin structures because it makes good business sense. Right, so you're going to come up with detailed stuff like that. So in this example, you're going to come up with something really specific. I mean, that sounds logical, right? We're going to have redundant sourcing in USA plus import so that we can fast fill orders, but at the same time, we're going to really have our margin from our overseas product, and we're going to blend those two sourcing structures, have them live side by side. I mean, that sounds like you really know what you're doing, right? And that'll become, you're going to roll that information up into your business plan, right? Design, product development, we're going to outsource a lot of it. We're going to be very smart about those dollars so that we keep the product fresh, but we're not spending a lot of money. And you're going to roll that information up to your business plan. So here's our sourcing plan, here's our design development plan, and we're going to do that for each of the other categories. This is our sales organization, it's lean, this is how we're going to spend money, very tight on administration. Because we're introducing e-tailing, we're going to have a in-house customer service because we want to stay very close to our customer, and you're going to math that up. Again, with those same kernels of fact-based information that you're gathering from the field, from living and breathing your business.
With the sales part of it, do you also factor that into the operation plan with the same?
Definitely. Your sales organization needs to be factored, meaning you should be able to say we're going to spend 6% on sales. And we're going to either third-party it or we're going to in-house it, and this is what it looks like. You know, a good salesperson costs $75,000 plus they want 6% commission, right? You ought to know that. And we're going to break it into 3 regions and 1 on international. And so you're going to want that very specific information as part of your sales. When you build up your overhead, you want to have that kind of specificity. So let's review how we build the operations plan. Number 1, define the challenges. Really nail down the operational challenges. We've tried to oversimplify today by saying if it's a service business, the challenges are likely to involve personnel. You know, we're going to be headcount driven, both by quality and quantity of personnel, how we train them, how we onboard them, and what they cost. Define those challenges up front. If it's a content business, it's about infrastructure and how we're going to systematically generate traffic. And we're thinking about lifetime value of customer, and we are very smart about customer acquisition and delivering it on a consistent basis. Really know what those challenges are up front. Number 2, acquire these kernels. I can't overemphasize the data-driven, when you insert that data into your business plan, that's what makes it believable. If you don't have those kernels, those fact-based data points from the field, forget about no one's going to believe your plan. You're not going to believe your plan. You're going to be wondering, do I really trust myself? It's a confidence booster when you have data, when you have real information from the field. And as part of the data, try always to drive it to math. You know, you really ought to be able to take information from the field and bring it down to a math formula, like cost, or 14 days, turn 20 times a year. You really want to have some number associated with this information that you're getting from the field, and then roll those numbers up into your plan. Right? The more math that you have, and it's not math to confuse your audience or to confuse you, it's math to simplify. Because when you can drive things down to a formula, you can do things like add and multiply. And in essence, your business is about adding and multiplying, right? In order for you to build financials, you're going to say, this is what we're going to do over 3 years. And it's usually growing at a certain percentage, right? And you're adding and multiplying. You've got a price point, you've got more customers, you're acquiring, you're driving your revenue. You've got cost, you're adding it up. You've got a gross margin number. So if you can't take your data points, your kernels, and convert them to math, you're going to have a really tough time building an operations plan that's believable. One that drives your confidence. So that's it. Define the challenges, get those kernels from the field, and build your plan, right? It's so simple, anyone can do it. And not really, it's really, really difficult. But anyone from Stern can do it, because you guys are the best. So let's go with some friendly advice, and then we can go into Q&A. The friendly advice. And you've heard a bunch of these before, but I can't tell you how important it is to get out in the field. You have to get out in the field. Don't be afraid to talk to customers. I mean, you should this is more of a social exercise than anything else. You just get out there. Get out in the field, talk to customers, wear them down. Make them hate you and say, go away, I don't want to talk to you anymore. Because it's free advice, right? You really want to do that. There's no question that when you build something in a box, and you build it in a room, and you build it in your mind, I think it's the path to insanity. You have to share your ideas with people. We can tap the usual suspects of friends and family because they're easy victims, but you need to get out to people you don't know. And you need to go out to experts in a given field. It is inexpensive information. It is invaluable information. You know, the next one is get customers now. How many of you, just to get a sense, how many of you are, as you're pursuing the business plan competition, how many of you have a running business that has at least one customer? 5. We need more hands. The winners of this competition, and it's not all about the competition. The competition is merely a way to structure what you're going to do anyway. Right? You're in this not for the competition. You're in this because you want to build a business. By the end of this business plan competition, if you have customers and you have completed a revenue cycle where you've delivered value to customers and you've been paid for it, forget about being close to winning. You're actually starting a business, which is the goal, right? So you have to have customers before the end of the competition, and that's just a word of advice. That's not a have to. This one I love. You go talk to your competition, and you're like, oh, but it's a trade secret, and I can't tell them about my business, and they won't tell me about their business. It's really unbelievable. It's uncanny. When you go talk to competition, and they say, all right, I'll talk to you, they start telling you things that it's a wealth of information. All you have to do is listen, like stop talking and take notes. They will tell you about their plans for the next 3 years. They will tell you about their new product innovation. They will tell you how they deploy their resources. They will tell you things about their business that you say, why are you telling me all your trade secrets? And you have an advantage. Play the student card. Hi, I'm a student, I want to learn more about, and they're just talking. So if you don't talk to your competitors, if you don't have competition, your plan is not real. Okay, once you establish that you do have competition, if you don't talk to them and find out what their plans are over the next 3 years and what their secret sauce is, you haven't done your homework, you haven't done your due diligence. Right? So talk to competitors and play the student part. You know, there was a project I worked on for Texas Instruments many years ago, and part of the team, it was a great lesson. It was a big vision project that we had to do, and it was a presentation to the chairman at the time. And some of the people on the team wanted to do tons of research leading up ultimately to a final presentation. And my approach was, no, let's build the final presentation now, right? Let's build it 16 weeks out. And then I'd rather spend the next 16 weeks refining it. As opposed to, let's research for 15 weeks, and in the final week, let's build a great presentation, right? Which approach do you think wins? Now some say, well, how could you do a final presentation today for something that is going to be mature and evolved in 16 weeks? And the answer is, I can do it just as well today as I can in week 15, and I won't be intellectually dishonest because I'm willing to change the presentation many times. That's what the iterations are for. And so I tell you, you should build your business plan right now. Right now. Get that draft done today. Get it done this weekend. Before you go to bed tonight. Build your business plan. And then spend the next bunch of weeks iterating and refining, right? Because it'll get better and better and better. You're going to identify the missing spots, the holes, the flaws earlier, and you're willing to change it. You're willing to say, you know what, I'm totally wrong about this section, and so let me fix it. Allow yourself the iterations. Allow yourself at least 6 iterations to the final product, because you're going to need them. Start early. That's my advice there. Launch your business now. What are you waiting for? The planning process is a living, breathing process. It's not something that we plan, and then boom, we press a button and launch. This is not a missile. This is something that you're going to build over time and refine over time. So if you've already launched your business during the business plan competition, by the time you're presenting, you're going to be so real, because it is going to be real. It's going to be a running business. So I hope none of you have family and friends and relationships. Just forget them. If you are an entrepreneur, you are going to be a 24/7 player. And there's nothing, the only thing that exists, your vision is just the business. You see nothing else. You hear nothing else. That kind of thinking absolutely comes through when you present to investors. That they know that while you're sleeping, you're still working. And so if you don't feel that grab, that passion, figure out how to feel it. Because that's what being an entrepreneur is, and this business plan is looking for entrepreneurs. We want to get as excited as you are about your business. And so if you're not excited, we certainly are not going to be more excited than you. So we have to come up to your level of excitement. If you're here, we're here. This one speaks for itself. You know, the business plan, the operations plan is the moment in time. It's the part of your plan that more than any has to be believable. Right? It's the execution part. If it is not believable, the basic underpinnings of the business are not real. That's how it reads to investors. Right? So if the operations piece is not believable, we don't believe in the marketplace. We don't believe in the customers. We don't believe in the competition. We don't believe in the product. We don't believe in your cost structure. We don't believe in your concept. So believability is built on field information, data from the field, math. We want to see that. That makes it believable. It makes it real. We're looking for realness here. All right, what is this? Can anyone read those financials? It does look like a spreadsheet. It is true. The financials, we know that that hockey stick is not real. We don't believe it. We want to really see what your next 6 months look like and how you articulate what you're going to do in the near term and what those milestones look like. The financials, we will not do a deep dive due diligence if we can't get past the basic common sense embedded in the operations plan. So we don't jump to the financials. We get through the concept first. We read through and believe the operations and execution plan, and then we say, okay, this is real. Let's dive into the numbers. And so I will tell you the operations plan, make it believable. Make it believable and live it and breathe it, and then you've got a shot at us writing a check for $1 million. Thank you all very much, and good luck.